Opening credits. Toddler Discipline. The power of positive parenting and healthy communication in your toddler's everyday life. Written by Natasha Becker. Narrated by Brooke Pillifant. Introduction. Discipline is an art, training human beings to adhere to certain behaviors through techniques such as positive reinforcement and unconditional love, which is affection without limitations or conditions. It is important to be creative in applying and using various discipline techniques with unconditional love because human beings react to discipline differently, depending on different temperaments via nature and genetics, and different home environments via nurture. What works for one child may not work for another, in terms. Without loving discipline, a toddler might eventually become an adult who runs amok, getting into trouble with no sense of right and wrong. This would be troublesome for his or her family, society, and the undisciplined adult him or herself because deviant adults usually end up at odds with everybody else, given their unruly ways. The last thing anybody wants is for his or her child to end up on beyond scared straight due to a lack of love and discipline. The main task of the parent is to unconditionally love the child. You need to teach your child through unconditional love and positive discipline how to adopt healthy behaviors and habits that will help him or her thrive and progress in life. This training usually starts around the time the child is old enough to learn, and that can be anywhere from about 6 months old. As soon as a child is old enough to understand the words yes and no, the child is teachable. How you train and lovingly discipline your child is what makes the difference in his or her life, and with unconditional love, the child will thrive. Remember, unconditional love means accepting the child with all his or her imperfections as he or she is right now. One aspect I'm going to discuss in this book is getting a healthy balance in discipline, informed by unconditional love. If the parent is too strict and authoritarian in his or her style of parenting and discipline, the child might rebel and get into trouble of some kind. On the other hand, if the parent is too lenient and yielding, the child might think there would be no consequences for his or her actions. This could also lead to trouble for the child down the road. It would seem discipline is a very nuanced thing, depending on the individual child and his or her level of development. Be that as it may, unconditional love means loving and accepting the child. In other words, your love and care are consistent regardless of time, place, or situation. The most teachable and trainable moments are when the child is young in the formative years, in part because a toddler hasn't been all that influenced by the world quite yet. In addition, their minds are more open to suggestion as they are still growing, and their behavior is more malleable and adaptable in comparison to most adults. Toddlers need more structure, guidance, and loving but positive discipline in order to learn how to behave and to treat others in addition to themselves. Otherwise, a likely scenario might be similar to the Daddy Daycare movie, where the daycare kids are running amok doing whatever, whenever. It is when a positive role model steps in that makes all the difference to kids. Positive parents employ positive parenting to teach and discipline their kids through love and guidance. Positive parenting is many things, but most importantly, positive parenting is the continual relationship of a parent and a child or children that includes caring, teaching, leading, communicating, and providing for the needs of a child consistently and unconditionally. Se et al., 2014, page 207. In other words, positive parenting is done through unconditional love for and discipline of the child through the actions the parents undertake to teach and raise said child into a fully accountable adult that can govern him or herself. This could include actions such as teaching the child to learn something like potty training through positive reinforcement techniques, such as praising them for a job well done. Ultimately, positive parenting, unconditional love, and discipline go hand in hand because all three give the toddler structure to learn from and to grow as an individual person. It is this loving discipline and unconditional care provided within positive parenting that is for the child's ultimate benefit and not for the parents' benefit of making their lives easier.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?